Hi, welcome back to Not From Boston. I'm Bennett Weinshank. With me today is a student here at USC Annenberg who is doing covering the USC Trojans on both broadcast and for me here at Annenberg Media. And we also have a class together.
Yes, we do.
Adam, what's your last name?
Ukazoglu. It's a tough one, but
I forgot to ask beforehand. I knew I should have.
all good.
We're going to do a quick look ahead at the upcoming season because you're probably listening to this or watching this during opening day or shortly thereafter. So we're going to get to some predictions. First, we're going to get to some roster news for the Sox. Should be fun. We're going to try and not debate the shit out of each other.
We'll try.
Because we do that in class quite a bit.
Indeed, we do.
So Red Sox roster news off the bat, a couple of demotions from the Major League roster back down to the minors. Peyton Tolley, I think the biggest surprise going to AAA. Christian Campbell also getting demoted along with Zach Kelly, a couple of Tylers, and and as well as Nate Eaton and Nick Sogard. Those are the big ones that stuck out to me. I don't hate any of these moves. I feel like they make a lot of sense. I mean, especially Tolley being the big one. I think his secondary pitches have been a thing since he came up, have been a big question mark that he needs to develop. I think keeping Connolly early on the Major League roster makes more sense. He's just where they're both at now. Early's in a better position.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's been an interesting offseason. My biggest thing so far for the Red Sox, yes, there's been plenty of moves, but I'm a huge fan of Roman Anthony after watching the World Baseball Classic. I mean, obviously, if you're a casual and you're coming in and you're watching, you're like, who is this kid in the World Baseball Classic that's making these clutch swings for Team USA at such a young age? Not only that, but Aaron Judge, who's on a team rival, was praising him for his work ethic. He's one of the first ones in. He's one of the last ones out. So all these roster moves, I agree with you, by the way. I don't think necessarily any of these are a shock. I think the biggest shock to me is, as a Dodger fan, how good James Tibbs has been. That's a whole nother discussion. But
yeah, you're welcome for that.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. He makes the spring breakout all first team. I mean, he's been unbelievable. But headed back to the Red Sox themselves, the most impressive thing for me this offseason has been the emergence of Roman Anthony. I think he'll be an MVP within the next 5 years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The more I look at this roster, I obviously very frustrated that they didn't get Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber or any of the other kind of big ticket items that we thought they might get. I'm not unhappy with this Red Sox roster at all. As particularly, I know that the offense is kind of a lingering question mark. I think worst case scenario, this is a team that is within a playoff spot at the trade deadline and you make a move for a bat. But defensively, I really like what we've got. And our pitching staff, I mean, I think the Red Sox truly blessed with this pitching staff.
Yeah. I can see where you're coming from when you say the lineup isn't an issue. I think losing Bregman is a lot bigger than you'd think and not picking up that star. However, I am on agreement with you that if they make it to the deadline and they're in playoff contention, I think they have to make a move. Again, if it really all comes down to expectations. Do you want to be a World Series winner? Do you want to be a ALCS contender? Or do you want to just make the playoffs?
That's the big question with this Red Sox ownership and front office at this point is like, are we like settling for, is the playoffs good enough for us, or are we actually striving to win something? I mean, the fans obviously are wanting to win something. I think, in terms of Bregman, just based on watching the WBC, I'm a little curious because I think if he comes into because like I agree, like right now as it looking at last season, looking how he contributed to the Sox, it's a big loss for Boston. Yeah. I think if his age starts to show kind of like it did in the WBC, if he dips in Chicago, I think that changes things dramatically.
It'll look great on the front office of Boston. So again, it's all going to come down to where are you when it comes to the deadline. I fully agree with you with that. And in my opinion, I think they're going to go out and they're going to have to get a bat if they're going to want to even make the ALDS or even ALCS. You just have to have a superstar bat other than Roman Anthony. I mean, yes, you have other guys that can produce, but I just think you need that one more to put you over the line.
Well, it's also just I think how they make that move will be really interesting because you have such a logjam like still, and I think Jarren Duran getting traded made sense in the off season, but that's like providing you make other moves. I think trading any of the outfielders at the deadline is really a bad idea, given that they're gonna be supplying what offense you do have. So it's like gonna be a really interesting question of like who gets moved out of Boston to make room for that bat, hypothetically. Of course, like you gotta just, I think, eat the money and dump Yoshida. Like I think that's just, you have to let him go. It sucks. I think financially, I don't think he's a bad ball
He
player
hasn't been
at
what
all.
he was supposed to be.
It's not true, but even still, I think it's just like we built a roster that doesn't work, that doesn't fit that type of player.
Yeah.
And of course, like if Christian Campbell gets hot in the mind, like rediscovers himself, I mean that'd be awesome. But it's like that's a potential, but who knows?
Yeah. One more thing on this Red Sox lineup. I think one of the most underrated players in the MLB right now is Cedar Rafaela.
Dude, yes.
I think Rafaela not only is a top 5 defensive outfielder, but I think if he can flash league average hitting and even above league average hitting, he could be one of the best. Nobody's really talking about him because he's Cedar Rafaela. He's not a big name yet. However, in my opinion, especially playing in the outfield in Fenway, he can make some of those highlight reel plays. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league.
He's so incredibly valuable, and with him offensively, it's really funny because I think almost all of his value is in his glove, and so I'm not, I obviously would love more from him offensively. I'm not seeing that as big a deficit necessarily otherwise, but what I think is really funny about him is that if there are no runners on and there are no stakes, guy's not hitting. He's not making contact. He's getting out. The second that there are, runners in scoring position and it's a late inning and it's like maybe 2 outs, all of a sudden he turns into Barry Bonds, and it's like that clutch value is important on its own. I'd love to see it kind of blossom into something bigger.
Cannot be understated how huge it is to be a clutch hitter. I mean, I know we're in agreement on this. Aaron Judge is arguably the greatest regular season hitter ever, but if you don't have that clutch gene, you simply cannot bring your team over the top. And I'm not trying to compare Rafael to Judge, not even close to trying to compare that, but I'm trying to say that having that clutch gene can be the reason why your team wins a World Series eventually or loses it. So
100%.
Just had to throw it out there.
Yeah, so that's where the Red Sox roster is currently. We can talk about the rotation kind of in a bit, but let's talk about, just in the larger context, the American League East.
I'd love to, yeah.
So the records up on the screen here are from Fangraphs, which I think, like looking at them, I'm like, Fangraphs is like very conservative in their projections.
Fangraphs doesn't have a single team winning 100 games this season.
I think it's really
odd.
So
I think Fangraphs is good when you want to look at the macro, when you want to see who the best teams in the league are going to be. But when you want to look at standings like this, where everything's within 6 games, which, by the way, I would not be shocked. The AL East is a madhouse. I do think that it's a little bit it's not good enough at projecting that type of scale. But I will say, I could see the Red Sox, I know it says they're even, I could see the Red Sox finishing second in this division.
Yeah.
I think that's their ceiling. I'm not sure whether it's going to be the Yankees or the Blue Jays above them, but I think it will be one of them.
I think with the AL East, I agree these numbers are off. I'd say these numbers are probably off by like 4 or 5 games each.
Yep.
But in terms of how close everyone is, I'm like, yep, that's exactly where we're at. Baltimore, it really scares me. I don't think they did enough with their rotation, but like their offense is crazy. I think, honestly, my feeling is that if something happens to the Blue Jays, I honestly would have to be catastrophic given how good they look.
I'd love to throw in a hot take real quickly.
Sure.
I don't think the Blue Jays are going to be ALCS contenders this year. I think, yes, they dominated the Yankees in the DS. Yes, they made the World Series and were probably 17 different freak plays away from winning it, but there's a 0% chance that you're going to have the guys that they have. Like, Vlad's always going to produce. Yes, he's always going to produce. But I'm sorry, they're not going to have these legacy runs from role players like they did last season. And I could see a good regular season, but in my opinion, I think they're not as big as a threat as everyone says. And I think they need to make a big move if they want to come back to the World Series.
There are a lot of, I think, question marks that with them currently, Okamoto being one. And not a question mark in that, like, oh, is he, going to be good or bad? It's just like, is he going to be enough of what they expect him to be? Is he going to meet those expectations? And Dylan Cease, I think, is kind of the other one. It's like he has years where last year he was good, not great, and then he has years where he's, Cy Young winning. He's an ace, and it's like which Dylan Cease are we getting this year?
I'd love to throw another wild card in, Trey Yesovich. Again, everybody saw what he did in the playoffs. He dominated the Yankees. He dominated the Dodgers in his first start. Second start, not so much. But I think if Yesevich can do what he did against the Yankees on a season long, I mean, if you just throw in an ace to that Blue Jays team, you have no clue what he's going to be. He's so young. But if he can emerge into an ace, that Blue Jays team could be very scary.
Also just like really something valuable about the fact that the majority of his major league starts were in the postseason. Yep. And at that level, I think he has to feel comfortable in a regular season environment. That's what I imagine for him. I also think there is something really nasty about the Blue Jays being in a situation where they could go from Trey Savage to, I forget which Rogers it is.
Tyler. I saw that the highest release point versus the lowest.
Yeah, you're going from that like over the top arm slot to that submarine. That would be jarring. With the Yankees, we've talked about this I think before in class. I'm of the opinion that like I don't think that the Yankees are going to like lose 100 games or anything, but I don't think they're going to have a good year as good a year as everyone thinks they will. I get, Garrett Cole is coming back, and you are getting, I think, Heel back at some.
He's not on their opening day roster,
right? Yeah, but he's coming back at some point. Rodon will come back. Fried's obviously been very good for them, but my thing is like I'm like you. Okay, I get why you didn't make any moves other than to reacquire Bellinger and Goldschmidt. However, the thing about running the same team back is A, everybody's already got the book on you. B, you're all a year older, and like that comes with a bunch of other risks. And this team we've already seen what happens to the Yankees when they get injured. And I just think, I'm not saying that there is that any of that will happen. I'm just saying like the ingredients are all there. It's the perfect storm for that team to fall like a house of cards.
Other than the Dodgers, I could talk about the Yankees all day long. I think it all starts with exactly what you mentioned. You are not adding a single piece to this team other than Garrett Cole coming back from an injury. I'm going to ask a question to anybody out there watching or listening. Were the New York Yankees Garrett Cole away from winning the World Series? Not even close. They lost to the Blue Jays in a dominating fashion. It wasn't close. Maybe you win one game with Cole, but even so, when the Yankees brought the bullpen in against the Blue Jays, they got blown out regardless of the starting pitching. Fried can't pitch in the playoffs. I think the Yankees can be a solid regular season team, but they are not a Garrett Cole away from a World Series like some fans claim they are.
I mean, also, on the field, everything is kind of, the same, but they did lose a lot of bullpen guys. I mean, the bullpen currently is, I think, riddled with holes.
I couldn't even tell you their whole bullpen.
So I think that's a concern. I wonder, I can't imagine, I imagine that any front office, even on the worst team, is competent enough to anticipate really any move that happens. But you do have to wonder, like with Trent Grisham taking that qualifying offer, if Brian Cashman was like, shit.
He had no clue that was going to happen. And then it derailed their entire offseason.
It's also very uncharacteristic for this organization to just literally run it back. So I don't know really why everyone is so, like, their expectations are so high as per usual, but mine are definitely low. But let's move on to the American League Central Division.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't want to spoil too much, but my AL MVP comes from this division. I think the young talent in this division is unmatched. This division could come out of nowhere. Everyone is assuming, and I'm probably in that crowd, that they're just going to be another season of mediocrity for most of this. But I think the young talent coming from this, and I'm just going to say it, Bobby Witt, in my opinion, I think he's a top 2 player in the league. I'm going to come out and say it. He's unbelievable. He wins MVP in any other season besides having Raleigh and besides having Judge last season.
I'm very worried about Bobby Witt being like trouted. To put it like,
I could see it happening, and I think he's very loyal. I think he'll stick with the Royals.
I think the Royals have been good before. It could happen. That's a fear. I don't think it's happening now, but it's a fear of mine. Yeah, Detroit. I mean, that rotation is also pretty formidable.
Yeah.
Cleveland, I think the Fangraphs having Cleveland so low is a little surprising to me. I know that they haven't done they didn't do anything really.
Yeah.
That being said, like, I think you just looking at last season and looking at the position they were in and the position they ended up in, I think it's an intangible for sure, but it is something that I'm like, I wouldn't write them off that much. I'd put them like maybe on the bubble, but not in 4th place, not at 10 games below 500.
I'd like to throw one thing out there, and that's everybody shooing in the Tigers. I want to just mention this. Let's say we get to the deadline and the Tigers have some clubhouse issues. Is there really a world where after that whole arbitration mess that Scooball doesn't get moved? It'd be unlikely, but I just think that I don't love. I know Fangraphs has 3 players at over 29 home runs on the Tigers, which I'm pretty sure is number 1 in the MLB. Shockingly, I don't like their lineup very much. They have some guys. They don't have the depth. I'm not a huge Tigers guy, to be honest.
I think, it's really interesting because I think you're right. I think there's a scenario out there where the Tigers are, leading the division or in a position to eventually lead the division. And, Skubal is having another excellent year, but where trading him at the deadline also makes a ton of sense.
Fully agreed. I don't see the scenario where they fork up that money for that extension.
Oh, no, they're not going to extend him. Like, this
No
is
way.
his last
Yeah.
season, I think, for sure. I
Easily.
think the question is, like, how good does everything have to go to not trade him? And I don't think that, maybe call me crazy, but, like, if I'm in that office, like, I don't think that situation exists. I think, like, you're trading Skubal at some point because the haul is gonna be insane.
I'd love to bring up Shohei Ohtani for a perfect example with the Angels.
Great example.
And I will say they weren't as good as the Tigers are projected to be, but they were formidable. And the front office took the risk. They're like, you know what? We're going to keep him. We think because it was obvious the Angels were never getting him in the open market. They had I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they had multiple offers on the table that, looking back at it now,
The Padres were offering them, like, I think, the world.
the fact that they didn't trade him shows me that maybe the Tigers will learn from that and trade him. But again, I think Ohtani is a similar. Skubal is an Ohtani, and the Angels aren't the Tigers. But I think it's a somewhat okay comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously, like, the backlash from fans will be enormous, but I wonder if you can sell to fans, like, depending on the return, which I imagine, hopefully that return is good. It's like, hey, yes, I get it that we've traded this guy that we all love and who's, like, the best at what he does. We have just set up our farm system for the next 5 years.
Easily.
I think
I mean,
that's,
you look at some of the offers the Dodgers were giving just this offseason, 3 top 100 guys in the entire MLB prospects, and then you compare that with an elite starting pitcher also. I'm pretty sure I think it was Glasnow in those talks. I mean, I think they can get an unbelievable haul.
Yeah. The American League West. This is also a division that is, like, interesting, but not. I don't think they produce anybody. I think they only produce one playoff team.
Really?
Yeah. But I think that there's a lot of really good stuff happening in this division.
I have a flaming hot take here, and I think the A's are winning the division.
Dude, okay, I'm actually very high on the A's.
I could not be higher on the A's. I know it's going to be tough. The Mariners have so much talent. They're so loaded. They're adding. But I'm a part of the crowd where I think there is a world where the A's and their young talent come out of nowhere and win 90 games. I think there's a world.
I think that world exists for sure. I think with the A's, it's just about the pitching. That they just
Couldn't agree more.
They don't have it, and they play in a ballpark that doesn't facilitate pitching.
Not at all.
But in terms of a run production standpoint, I mean, they are gonna, I think, probably score the most runs in the American League.
They're paying their guys. I mean, we're seeing this.
Yes.
The A's, I don't even know what to call them. Sacramento, Oakland, Las Vegas. The A's are paying their guys. I'd never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, that Nick Kurtz extension, it hasn't happened yet, but it'll come.
It'll come.
And I'm very impressed that they got
I look at their lineup.
Soderstrom and Wilson, and I mean
1 through 7, even 1 through 8. It stacks up with the best in the league.
Yeah. So I think for me, their ceiling is the wild card.
Okay.
But I'm with you that, like, this is a team that's going to overperform compared to, I think, what a lot of people think. Yeah. And then Seattle is really just sitting on the top. The Rangers, I don't think Brandon Nimmo is going to add anything substantial to make up for, ground lost last year. I think the Astros are, fully not coming apart, but, like, it's like
ending.
We're out of that window. Yeah. And then the Angels are gonna.
I think the Angels are. I think 74 is a bit high when it comes to wins. I could see the Angels possibly even going below 65 wins.
What do you think of Trout playing center field again? I think it's a huge mistake personally, but.
I'm in the train that Trout should have been gone years ago, but I think everybody is. I mean, Trout, if you're a traditionalist, you're a loyalist, you're like, great, Trout stayed with them. But when it comes to, if you're looking in reality, we just mentioned Bobby Witt could be trouted. The fact that being trouted is a thing, I mean, we've had this debate 100 times. I personally think Trout should have won over Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown season. He was that good in his prime that he almost, in my opinion, he was worthy of beating a Triple Crown season. That's besides the point. When it comes to him playing center field, why? I don't see it. He can be a corner outfielder. You can DH him every now and often. There's no reason for him to be playing center.
Right. I'm like, it's like, I think up to a certain, I would say up to 20, I want to say 23. Like, it's like, Trout, you've had a Hall of Fame caliber career. You're still a bit of a ways away from 500 home runs at least. Yeah, 3,000 hits is not happening. Like, we need to put you in the best position to play as many games as possible to hit your way to 500. And like, playing center field is a bad way to do that. You're just so much more, open up to injury. Even compared to corner, I wouldn't even put him in the corner outfield spots. I'd be like, you're DHing for the rest of your career.
That's fair.
And you're going to hit those 500 home runs. And you're going to have a Hall of Fame wearing an Angels cap. Like, that's it.
I respect that.
Because, like, there's nothing else to do with you. Like, and no one's going to trade for him anymore, which is also crazy. Like, we're at the point where he has no trade value.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Angels are continuing to be a mess. And their name is stupid.
You think they're Anaheim?
I think they should be Anaheim. I think they should own it,
Here we go.
We're going from the AL West to the NL West first. This one is, I think, probably the easiest division to talk about. The Dodgers are very obviously going to win their division, barring like some, I would say, miracle, but like it'd be a miracle from hell.
So again, I am a Dodgers fan. I think they, in my opinion, have no chance of breaking any wins record, and I'm going to break that out for you right here.
I'm with you.
I think them getting to 100 would be just fine, but I'm going to tell you this. They don't need the 1 seed. They just need to win the division. As long as you avoid that wild card, I'm going to say this right here. I think there is a higher percent chance that we see, I'd say midway through the season, not the end, not the beginning, midway through the season, there's a higher percent chance that the 5 guys that we see in the rotation coming into opening day aren't even pitching. I could see Shohei being shut down mid-season, and I know that sounds weird, but what reason do the Dodgers have when they probably have a top 5 lineup of the last decade? They have a number 1 rotation in the last decade. They're the shortest odds to win a World Series since, I think, the 2001 Yankees, one of those Yankees teams. I don't see any reason for them to be using any of these pitchers, and as a result, they're going to drop some of those games mid-season. And in my opinion, I think 100 wins is very reasonable, even up at, Fangraphs has them at 96. I think I'm hearing people say, oh, they're going to break the Mariners record. No chance.
I think people have been saying that about the Dodgers for literally the last 3 years.
Because they don't need to. Dave Roberts knows that.
This organization is, you hear it time and time again, this organization plans for the playoffs. They don't plan for the regular season. They plan for October, which is why like Hyun Kim is going to go play AAA ball
Insanity.
right now.
He's a 5-WAR player. Check that. He's, I think, like a 3-WAR player over a 162-game sample.
Listen, it's a form of gluttony that I think is allowed, but is outrageous and should be stopped somehow. But like, I don't think there's actually a way in. Like, I don't think a salary cap does that. I don't think there's really any way to.
I'd love to eventually have a separate discussion about the Dodgers and the conversation, but I think when we're just looking at projecting this division, I'm in the camp that I think the Padres are. I'm shocked they have them at 4th. I think the Padres are by far and ahead the second best. I think it's Dodgers tier 1, Padres tier 2, Giants, Diamondbacks tier 3, Rocky tier 4.
I'm just wondering, with the Padres, especially because AJ Preller, and I was shocked that he got an extension.
Really?
I was shocked.
He's changed that team.
Well, yes, but in trading for Mason Miller and that whole trade deadline as a whole, the way that he obliterated the farm system. Like, took it down to the 30.
You can't get rid of DeVries, man. You cannot.
No,
for a reliever.
I know. So the way that Preller handled the deadline, the way he decimated the farm system for San Diego, and the fact that they're changing ownership right now. There's that
I saw that. Yep.
The way that I look at that organization, I'm like, guys, you need to start rebuilding. Like right now.
Really?
Like I think with the Machado and Tatis, in both of their contracts, they have no trade clauses protecting them until 28.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, the second that trade clause is up, you move them.
Really?
You have to.
I'm on the complete opposite side. I think the fact they decimated the farm system means they need to be the furthest thing from a rebuild. Their window is, again, till 28. You go all in. You try and you knock the Dodgers out in a 5-game series like they almost did in 2024. They were probably one blown game away, beating the Dodgers in a bullpen game from winning a World Series that year.
I think that depends on like what the outlook is if you're ownership or if you're in the GM's office, what your outlook is on the team long term. If you want to still win now, I agree with you, but I think if you're looking ahead and you're like, I want this team to be a sustainable winner beyond, this year and or next, then I think it's like you got to talk about rebuilding that farm system. Credit to where it's due for AJ Preller to make that team as good as it is. I think looking back, it is at the same time, it's like, okay, that's great, but you didn't have to like offer some of these outrageous contracts to get there. Like the Bogarts contract, for example, is like, I don't think if that hadn't happened, I think this team would still be kind of where it is because Bogarts hasn't been productive to the degree that and as a Sox fan,
I was just about to say, as a Red Sox fan,
I was so heartbroken at the time, and now I'm like, oh my God. That's great. So I kind of am with you. The Giants, I think could, I
think they're going to be the definition of mediocrity. I don't see anything bad. I don't see anything good. They're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they added some pieces, but
the Diamondbacks too are kind of like they didn't do enough. Adding Arenado doesn't move the needle for me at all.
I feel for the teams. What are you supposed to do? Like your ceiling in the NL West is coming second in the division and being NLDS exits to the Dodgers, maybe NLCS if you get lucky.
And as we talk about the rest of the NL, we will establish why like that wild card race is so choked up that it is for the Diamondbacks and the Giants and the Padres. You really like, it's really only one of you, if any of you, are going to get to go to the postseason.
Yeah. Finally, on the Rockies, just quickly before I move on, I know we spent a while on the NL West. I just want to quickly say, if you're a Rockies fan out there, hang in there. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. I promise you the Rockies will be back to being great. I see a little bit of young talent there. I just want to say hang in there because you might have one of the worst seasons ever considering every team in that NL West, when they come to Coors Field or Colorado travels to them, every single team is going to be looking that they need a sweep. If you want to make the playoffs, you need a sweep. The Dodgers might be your best shot of winning a series, and that might be crazy to say, but the rest of those three teams in the division they're going to look at the schedule. They're going to circle those series with the Rockies. They're going to say, has to be sweeps.
So my cousin Joey lives in Colorado. I actually don't know if he's living there currently, but he's from Denver. Big Rockies fan. He has in the past like sent me, when the Red Sox have done something stupid like trade Devers or whatever, he has sent me like memes mocking the Boston Red Sox, and I'm like, you fucking can't. You can't be serious right now. You're taking the piss out of my team. Your team's a fucking shit show.
It's terrible, but I see better days, so that's all I wanted to say with the Rockies.
Oh my God, I hope.
Also, I've been to Coors Field once.
It's beautiful.
Love it.
It's a fantastic ballpark.
Field. Fun fact: that was the James Outman game. His first career swing was a leadoff home run in his first game. Before the game, I yelled, "Outman, you're gonna hit a home run." You can believe me, you can't. I said it.
The one time I went to Coors Field, it was to see them play the Nats. This was 2011, I think.
Oh wow.
Bryce Harper's still on the team.
Yep.
This is also the story about why I hate Bryce Harper.
Okay.
Because we get there early. We get there for batting practice. I'm wearing a Nats jersey. I'm like, he's doing autographs at the, third base line. I'm like, Bryce Harper, sign my thing. And my cousin, who's the Rockies fan, is also next to me. And Bryce Harper skips over me, signs my cousin's thing. My cousin's not a Nats fan. I'm wearing a Nats thing. Signs my cousin's thing and walks away. And I'm like, Bryce Harper, you are dead to me.
Oh, wow.
Like, I think he's very cool in Philly, but I'm like, you suck. Like, at my core, I will always hate him.
Surely you're rooting for him after that Team USA home run.
I mean, yes, but
Okay,
I've just,
maybe he earned your trust.
I've rooted him more when he's on the Phillies, but I'm still.
Nats fans don't know him either.
If I ever met Bryce Harper, I would bring this up. Anywho, let's talk about the NL Central. Actually, first, I forgot about this. Uniqlo. What do you think of this? For those who are listening and are confused by this, the Dodgers sold the naming rights of the field of Dodger Stadium.
I'll tell you this. I'll give you my opinion as a Dodger fan. You do anything you can to make that money back. We're already seeing, I haven't been to Dodger Stadium yet, from reports on Twitter, the prices in that stadium for a beer, for food, for anything, skyrocketing. You have to make the money somehow. You sell the naming rights. I don't really care.
The average tickets are for opening day are $400
for opening day.
for opening day.
This is not the playoffs. Opening day.
That's crazy. But I'm sorry if anyone to me is like, hey, do you want to go to a Dodgers game at Uniqlo Field at Dodger Stadium?
It's Dodger Stadium.
I will kick you
Dodger Stadium.
so hard.
Chavez Ravine or Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. So none of that. I have learned that we have about 21 minutes until we need to be out of here. So I'm going to keep things moving to the NL Central. Interesting that Fangraphs put the Pirates in second place. I don't think they're wrong, but I don't know if they're right. if I can have that cop out.
I think the Cubs are way too much in the pack. I think the Cubs are going to run away with this division. That might be crazy to say. I think the Brewers are not going to repeat what they did last year. I think most people agree with that. I don't think that's that hot of a take. I mean, they made the NLD or the NLCS. They got swept. Maybe that's their ceiling, getting swept in the NLCS. I think the Cubs run away with this division. I love the Bregman edition. They just extended PCA today. I'm a huge fan of what the Cubs are doing. They're adding. They're trying to become the Cubs again.
Yeah,
they're the Cubs.
I have such a soft spot for the Cubs because they are kind of the NL's Red Sox. With Bregman, I have questions, not just as a bitter Red Sox fan, but as a guy who I'm like, we know how your swing profiles. We know that's like part of your swing. Like that's why you moved to Fenway, is that we offer a lot of the same perks left field that you had at Minute Maid. I'm not calling it the other thing.
What is it even called?
Daikin? I don't know. Whatever.
It's Minute Maid.
It's Minute
Although
Maid.
if you bring up the Astros again, I'm gonna never have to.
But I'm like, okay, well, going to Chicago makes no sense. Like to
Wrigley's not. They just isn't the fence like further back and left.
They have it's a deep down the lines ballpark. It's famously windy. I think you're going to see a lot of balls from Bregman that would be home runs in Houston or Boston that are flyouts.
I mean, he got his money. Yes, it's
sure.
tough for his hitting profile. He got his money. You gotta give it to him. Back to the Pirates, though, as you said, their lineup, it's not an 83 game. I mean, yes, you have Paul Skeens. They also have some other things in that pitching staff that I like, but no, 83 is too much.
I think the Pirates are kind of like the Blue Jays in reverse in terms of like they have their quality of pitching is so far above their lineup.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of untapped or at least unknown potential. I think they got, we traded them the password, Yustinson Garcia for Oviedo. I think he has a lot of potential as a slightly above average outfielder with some pop. I'm curious to see what he'll do. It is a really odd mix otherwise of like, what is it? Rhino Hearn and
I think they just
Brandon Lau. And, it's a kind of like a,
it's a really new roster, and that could be good. That could be bad. You bring in Bregman, you just mentioned the other guys. So it could benefit them and it could completely crash and burn. You just don't know.
With the Brewers, I'm like, I know they're going to take a big step back.
Agreed.
And it's just unacceptable to me that you win 97 games, you trade your ace, and your third baseman, you take a big step
Bennett,
back.
we were just, Bob Costas was in our class, which was insane on Zoom. And he mentioned that your Brewers team that just won 97, the Brewers, Milwaukee, won 97 games, and you trade your best pitcher. Now, as a Dodger fan, I can admit there's something wrong with that. Now, whether it's the cheap ownership or it's the structure of the MLB, the fact they're not paying Peralta is beyond.
Yeah, I think the solution to that is honestly, it's not punishing the Dodgers or really any team that spends. It's more like I think you just need to create a system that is not only offering financial disincentives to poor like small market teams, but you're tying that incentive to wins. I've talked about it on this podcast before, but I think if you spend below a certain amount of money, but you make the playoffs, you shouldn't face a penalty. However, you spend too little and you suck, you face a penalty. The NL East.
Division.
Yeah. So, the
fact all you have to say is this hesitancy. That's exactly what you look at the top of this division. We know who the bottom two is. We know who the top three are going to be. I'm going to go out and say it. Think that order's perfect. Mets, Braves, Phillies.
I'm confused about why people are selling so high on the Braves.
I don't think saying that they should be second is selling high, is it?
No, but I think talking about I've seen other people talk about them like a potential playoff team, and I just don't think that's true. I mean, especially given the just rash of injuries that they've had lately. I mean, Spencer Strider went down yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's going to miss. I don't know how long he's out for, but he's going to miss opening day.
Oh, is that the oblique?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I did see.
So with this, and they also again didn't adding. I forget who they added. Was it he had a hamate injury, whatever the bone is in your hand that makes you unable to swing if you hurt it. I just with them there's like haven't been a lot of like needle movers. There have been a ton of injuries. I hope Ronald Acuna Jr. has a great year. He normally does when he's healthy, but when he's healthy is not super frequent.
Yeah.
The Phillies, I agree. Like I do. The reason I think I could like co-sign like, yeah, okay, Braves second, Phillies third, is that the Phillies I think are coming out of their window, even though they just got Schwarber back. They are
You can't lose your starters like that. You have to,
Yeah.
if you want to be a World Series team, which again in the NL is almost impossible these days.
Yeah.
You have to keep your starters because the only way you're going to beat the Dodgers in a series is by out pitching them.
Yeah.
You can't out hit them.
Yeah, and their lineup is only getting older.
Yeah.
Harper's
getting older.
It's
Schwarber,
not. I mean, I think Schwarber could have I think Harper could have a bounce back year because that's how he rolls.
That is.
But oh boy, I mean, I don't know. I think the Marlins will tease everybody.
I have the opposite. I think the Nats will tease everybody. I think the Nats are finishing fourth in this division. I am high on the Washington Nationals. I love some of their talent. James Wood, in my opinion, is really underrated still. He should be talked about way more. I love C.J. Abrams, even though he's very inconsistent.
He needs to take a step forward. Like,
Abrams or Wood?
No, Abrams.
Abrams
yeah. Needs to take a step forward. I think trading Gore, I was like,
that came out of nowhere.
I don't know anybody on your pitching staff who's good. Like at this point,
I'm from Washington D.C. for
we
context.
both are.
We're both from Washington D.C. All of my friends, being Nats fans, literally all started spamming. We just lost Gore. Oh my God, season's over. And I said, your season's been over for a while.
I think getting Harry Ford from the Mariners is. I think I'm like, oh, that's great. I mean, why he's been optioned to AAA is beyond me at this point because
it's the Nats.
Ruiz is just, but
Ruiz, Dodger legend.
Yeah, but again, Taboni is someone who like over time I think is really gonna do a lot of great stuff with the organization.
I'm high on that organization,
but I think this first year is gonna be brutal.
Okay.
The Marlins just because they did it last year as well, and then they made the trade with Chicago and got was it Owen? I always want to say like Owen Cassidy, but that's not his last name. It's like Kassir or something. But they got a top prospect back from Chicago, an outfielder, which I think were in desperate need of. And so I think they're further along on their weird, Marlins trajectory of like becoming really good and then selling it all. And
the one thing that we learned from this offseason with the Marlins had nothing to do with the Marlins. It's that the city of Miami is a baseball city. Give that city a good team. They will have the best atmosphere in all of baseball.
And they brought back the teal for like an alternate jersey. I'm like, hey, you guys are almost there. Just bring it all. You didn't need to change it in the first place.
I love that little orange. I just think of Giancarlo Stanton. I think of that.
Just remember being, what was it? So it's like 2012, I think, when they did that. They made that like rebranding, and I would have been 16, and I just remember seeing that and going, why the fuck would you do that? Like, why would you take the coolest branding in the National League and just wipe it away? I don't get. Anyway, yeah, the Mets, I think they really turned around their offseason. I had really low their initial trades regarding Semien and Nimmo. I was like, I don't really understand why we're doing this. Wrapping it up by trading for Peralta and signing Bichette.
So huge. I mean, getting Bichette, that's the single reason I think they're winning this division.
Okay, so we're gonna move through lightning round here. I have some hot take questions.
Perfect.
Give me, because I know you're.
I'll go
I know
quick
we're chatting.
answers.
I know. No. I want yes or no.
Okay.
Who hits more home runs, Willie Abreu or Roman Anthony?
Roman Anthony.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm huge on Roman.
Who's more likely to have a bounce back year, Sandy Alcantara or Mike Trout?
Neither.
You gotta pick one.
Neither.
Okay. I mean,
Sandy, but neither.
Okay.
Neither.
2 jerseys stay and 2 go.
Yeah.
We got the throwback Angels jersey, the Navy Boston jersey.
Oh, I can easily give you this.
The 05 Nationals or 06 Nationals home jerseys and the 01 Diamondbacks jerseys.
Angels, D-backs. Simple.
Those 2 stay?
Easily.
Gotcha. I love the Navies, but I do.
It's Angels. I mean, D-backs is one.
D-backs for sure.
D-backs won, and then I have the Angels just over the Nats. No offense, Boston last.
That's fine.
Nothing special.
That is, yeah. before we wrap up, as always, guys, remember that we are on Instagram at Not From Boston Pod, Substack at notfromboston.substack.com, and on Patreon at patreon.com/notfromboston.
Bennett, just wanted to give you a thank you for having me on.
Of course.
I'm glad, hopefully, everyone watching this appreciated my takes in some way, and it's been good to be on.
We'll get you back for some of your spicier takes.
Oh.
We'll get there. Thank you guys, as always, for watching and listening, and bye. We'll see you in 2 weeks.